Hello, just a relatively quick video on why I am moving to Thailand to retire there. First, I'll say I'm 60 years old. I served in the US Navy for 4 years back in 88 to 92. 2 of the years in the Philippines. Beautiful country, beautiful people. Nothing bad to say about it. However, when I was at Ohio State University, I met a graduate student from Thailand named Ganya. We became friends. I would always walk in the cafeteria and she usually was eating alone. I always noticed she had a nice smile. I mean, she was definitely older than me, but she seemed friendly. So I got to know her, sit down and got to know her. And we became good friends. So I went to Thailand the first time as a sophomore at Ohio State. I was also at Taipei, Taiwan University, Chiang Mai University exchange student. Then I went over to Thailand. I was like, wow, this place is amazing. I was still young back then, of course. Didn't even graduate college yet. But she picked me up at the old Don Mueang airport and said, "Hey, I work with the king." I'm like, "Yeah." And she says, "Hey, do you want to drive into his palace before we drop you at your hotel on the way to the hotel?" I'm like, "Sure, why not?" So we pull up to one of the side gates, and the guys come out with the mirrors, tell us to get out of the car. I'm sure they knew her. She'd probably done this millions of times. But they slide the mirrors under the car looking for a bomb, which of course isn't going to be there because she works there. She says, "Hey, here's the king's garden." She was in agriculture, and me and the king do this. Me and the king are trying to figure out how to grow better rice here. But anyhow, I fell in love with Thailand the first time. And I went back 9 more times. I was even married to a Thai woman for 33 years until she totally blindsided me 3 years ago with a divorce. That almost put the nail in the coffin as far as Thailand goes. I'm like, holy crap, maybe all Thai women are scammers. But here, 3 years later, I've gotten over it. I've met some new friends. Went to Thailand a year ago to meet them in person, and it was beautiful. I mean, very well educated, very mature, much more mature than my ex-wife ever was. So I'm thinking, I can still enjoy life at 60 years old. So I planned to retire. I couldn't find work anyhow because I was an electrical engineer. I also had a law degree I subsequently picked up, and I did patent law. But I had worked on, U.S. government, nearly top secret projects, always had a security clearance. But once I got busted for attempted suicide with a gun in my car, that kind of put the nail in that coffin. I had saved a lot of money also, even without the divorce, giving half of it to somebody that never really worked for it, at least not in any significant way or deserved the money. I got over that. But what did it leave me? It left me with either stay here and pay 4 times more for everything that costs in Thailand, which is BS. I mean, you could buy a meal in Thailand out in the Isaan area for still $1. Yeah, Bangkok, it'll cost you $2. And if you want to eat a Western diet, hell, it'll still cost you $16, $20. But if you eat a Thai diet, which I prefer, first of all, it's more healthy and more tasty and more variety. I mean, just that's the spice of life is food, right? Anyhow, for me, I enjoy, eating when it's time, when I'm hungry. I don't force myself to eat. But anyhow, in Isan, things are still very, very inexpensive. Housing is half the price of Bangkok, and you can build a mansion for less than $100,000. I mean, a mansion. I mean, we're talking many rooms, couple bathrooms out on a fairly big plot of land. So I'm thinking, why would I want to stay here where people don't treat each other well? When you work, you're on a hamster wheel. You're running on the damn thing every day. You can never get off. If you do, you won't have any money. So you got to constantly make money. So you get out of school, you work your whole life, you turn 65, 70 years old. Now you're starting to get old. You just have a couple of years to really get around and move around. And then you're kind of stuck in one place and then you just die. To me, it's not a very nice existence. It's not what I want. Then you go out into Thailand, and you've got 90-year-olds out working in the rice fields. I know a lot of them take a lot of physical repetitive motion injury, but there's still a lot of healthy type people, and most of them are way older than where our people watch TV and sit around for a large part. I mean, not everybody. So it's like, why do I want that? It's like, hell no. I've traveled the world in the Navy already. I'm used to traveling. I don't want to live life one day and just be on my deathbed and say, oh my God, what did I accomplish? Why didn't I go here? Why didn't I do that? You know, I think I've done it all here as far as I can. I've worked at Intel on a dual core payment processor as one of the key engineers. I went to graduate school, got my grad degree, worked on supercomputers, and most recently quantum computers for Northrop Grumman until my wife hit me out of the blue. I didn't even see it come with doors papers. But, I'm older now. That's against me as far as design engineering goes. And yeah, so I've done it all here. There's not really much left. And I've traveled quite a bit, and I just love the Thai culture, Thai people. And generally, they're very friendly. They work hard to be happy. They don't like conflict, which is kind of like me being an introvert. I don't really like conflict either. I'd rather, it's just not my style. I mean, I could do it and I can handle it. I was born here, for crying out loud. I was a naval officer for 4 years, so I can handle conflict. That's not a deal. But do I want to when I'm older? I really don't really want to. I'd rather just relax, enjoy the days, travel locally around Southeast Asia, and enjoy life with great food, great people. Speak and read and write Thai because I'm pretty good at that already. I got a little ways to go. I thought about Vietnam because it does seem like Vietnam is what Thailand was like, 40 years ago. I came to Thailand for the first time 40 years ago. I was driven right into the royal palace, but we didn't go inside. We were just outside in the gardens where she were. But anyhow, Vietnam seems to be where Thailand was 40 years ago. I've never been there, but I decided since I don't speak, read, and write a single word of Vietnamese, and tell you, those languages are different. Even between Isaan and Central Thai, it's a whole new language, almost. So yeah, so you got to learn another language if you go to Isaan, but it's not that hard. But anyhow, since I know Thailand so well, I know the language and the cost of living compared to the states here is so it's a fraction. Yeah, could I do better in Vietnam or maybe I don't know Indonesia or somewhere else? Or even the Philippines. Probably could, but then it's a whole new language thing, which I don't mind. But at my age, it just makes sense to go to Thailand. So that's the story of why I am going to Thailand. And I'm going to do it fairly soon, the middle of February. So we're on January, wow, 26th now. January 26th. So that's about 10 days plus another 16. It's only about 26 days. I am leaving and I will land in Thailand in 28 days from now, or 2 days from when I take off due to the international timeline and all the time zones. So that's it. I just felt I wanted to make a video about why I'm leaving to go to Thailand. Now, is it the perfect or right decision? I don't know. But here's what the U.S. Navy did teach me. They didn't teach me much, but we always said in the Navy, a good decision today, especially when it's acted on, is better than a perfect decision tomorrow. So there you go. That's my plan. Talk to you later. Bye bye. I'll make videos when I get to Thailand. I don't know if I'll ever be making money at this, but I want to make videos just trying to make the world a better place. Because now my life is all about making the world a better place. Making it a better place, one person at a time, if I monetarily can, or if I can just do it by helping bag rice or something, I just want to make the world a better place. First of all, it makes me feel happy about myself. I'm not the perfect person. Maybe I'm not even a nice person, but I try to be. I don't believe in a God, but I try to still believe in doing the right thing. I try to live a more Christian life than the Christians do, and I don't need God to force me to do that. So just another side thought. Maybe I'll talk more about that later. But anyhow, now it's just all about me enjoying life, making the world a better place. especially the people around me, like the Thais. They want to smile. Somebody said, bye, don't worry, be happy. It's a good way to live. When you force yourself to be positive and you force yourself to be happy, yeah, at first it's kind of forced. I agree, it's kind of phony. But you'll be surprised at how much better you feel down the road. Everything else falls in place a little better than it otherwise would. Yeah, you got to be realistic. I always will be. I'm an engineer for Pete's sake. But anyhow, that's kind of my thoughts in a small way, philosophy on why I'm going to Thailand and leaving this political BS behind. I mean, the politics and the government here has just gone downhill since I was in the military. In 1992, I got out with an honorable discharge, of course. But I mean, god damn, in 40 years, it's like we've almost watched an empire collapse. Will it totally collapse? Probably not, because we have nukes. We've got nukes. We've got the best weapons in the world. Yeah, and the weapons, the military doesn't build them. They just say what buttons they want to push. And Lockheed Martin engineers built the crap, within the laws of physics. But it's like the military doesn't hardly have much say to what weapons they get. It's all done by the military industrial complex, and then the government pays hundreds of millions and sometimes billions of dollars for it in the case of stealth bombers. So I don't know. We've got all these weapons. Will we ever be not a superpower? Maybe. I don't know. But that's the only thing. That's the only thing supporting us now. It's like, hey, you want to mess with us? We'll nuke you. We got a big military. And a very, very, very final thought, I promise, is what about robots? Are we even going to need people to fight now? Planes take off and land themselves. They can carry out missions. They can be, wing fighters for guys in it, a robot plane without a pilot. It can be like a wingman for a plane with a man. They can be his eyes and ears, beyond what he can see and do. We've got robots that can do jumping jack somersaults and all that. And I'll stop here. I really was just getting too long. But anyhow, just some thoughts if anybody wants to watch them. Talk to you later. I'm not going to stop at this. I've got some thoughts and a little bit of desire to let them out. All right. Bye bye.